They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
What up? Welcome back to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and add one more Megafig to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now this time we will be taking a look at Nekron, also known as the Lord of the Unliving, the Blackness, the Black Light of Death, he who walks behind the rose, and the embodiment of death. Now I've actually been really anticipating taking a look at this guy. He is one character that I've always really enjoyed. I actually have all the versions of Nekron that have been released. Actually a pretty old character. He is from the 80s, but he has, of course, survived all these years and even become more stronger. Now if you know me, you know I love me some skulls, I love me some black, and I love me some creepy, grotesque figures. So this guy is right up my alley. Now he looks pretty much taken over by darkness in the packaging, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. But first, he does come with your standard black DC Multiverse stand. Now these are not really needed, but sometimes they do come in useful. He also comes with his data file card. On the front you do have some source material there from the comics, and on the back you do have some information. Pretty cool. Added to the collection. Now he does come with one accessory, which is his scythe, made from the parts of a lantern battery and giving off, of course, the black light that is his power source. Pretty cool. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. Starting off, first impressions, pretty much a giant size version of all the renditions of Nekron that we have received. Of course, DC Direct did do their version, and then Mattel did theirs, and now we have one from McFarlane. But he looks really good. Love all the texture, all the sculpt work that went into this guy. You could just see it right off the bat, and basically like a one-time use of sculpt. I mean, unless they make him a hooded version, there's really no other use for this mold. But I hope it pays off, and really, really excited to add him to my collection. Pretty much your standard Nekron there, reminiscent of the pages of the comics, and just tons of detail here. They did not skimp out on the sculpt work. Taking a look at the head, of course he has that skull visage, reminiscent of evil. Has some cool detail on it. I love the black lantern symbol on his forehead. Looks really good. Got all the texture and lines in there. Nice black wash. Open mouth. Looks really cool, showing off the pearly grays. Looks really, really awesome. Check out the articulation. Can't look down because of the like neck harness that he has, but he can look up really well. You do have right to left movement, and you can tilt his head for some character. Taking a look at the chest, he has that awesome open sternum that where you could see his black heart. Now I've seen people paint the heart red, or some versions the heart's red, but it's actually supposed to be black and dead. So this is really accurate, kind of a grayish tone. You can see the rib cage there, exposing the heart, and you have all the cool texture, muscle sinews, and decomposing flesh. Awesome. Has his belt going around his cloak. That's pretty much it for the details there. Let's take a look at the arms. No butterfly shoulder joint. It's just inside the socket that is covered by his cloak. But you do have rotation there, and then you have a bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows. Moving down from the shoulders into the arms. Beautiful sculpt work there. Going into some wraps and into more of these like iron bracelets around his wrist. Going into the ball joint. He does have wrist articulation. And then he has like a kind of gesturing, grasping hand, I would say. On the other side, same thing, but there is no like irons for his wrist on this side. He does have the wrappings though. And then he has a grabbing hand for his scythe. Now, one thing that brings up is that there's actually supposed to be chains here. The other versions do include them, but that's a real easy, quick fix. Go down to the hobby store and we'll be looking at some chains for him. Now, there is a little bit of paint detail that I would like to change. So if I do that and I add the chains, I will make a little repaint video for you guys. Can get him in a T-pose. A little bit higher, but it's restricted by his cloak. But you can go forward and lift his arms above his head. Check out the waist articulation. Not really any side to side. I mean, it's there, but it's, you know, you could hear it. You got waist rotation, but not really any upper rotation. He can lean forward, but it's more at the waist. You can twist him, and then you could lean him back. But the same thing, it's more just at the waist than anything else. All in all, for a big figure like this that isn't really supposed to be doing any like gymnastic moves and stuff like that, that's really no deterrent for this figure. It's awesome. In fact, I would say it's on par with all the other releases that have come before of this guy. Just minimal articulation at the waist. Check out the legs. Now, surprisingly, he can kick up pretty high, and he could kick back, but it is stopped by his cloak. And then he does have that sweet, when you put it back, it goes back to, you know, its original form. Then he does have that sweet hip rotation. Double jointed knees. Pop them out forward. Go to the ankle, you have up and down. Right to left. Rocker. And toe articulation. Now before we go, let's take a look at the legs. Nice sculpt work here as well. It is reminiscent of the older figures and what his images are in the comics. Not too much, you know, to talk about, but it is sculpted really nicely. Taking a look at the bottom, no tread, but he does have some identifying marks. No real point in lifting up the cloak. It's probably the same sculpt work, but the cloak does have some awesome texture and sculpt lines. And then you do have his pointed hood, but it is, you know, fashioned there to his back. Awesome spine detail there in the figure with the sculpt work of the spine. Moving into that, you know, iron neck guard. All in all, awesome, awesome Nekron figure. Now you can put his scythe into his hand and then have him, you know, presented there with his scythe. Now he looks really good, pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and bring out the other renditions of Nekron. We do have the DC Direct version, which is pretty much on the small side. I think he's probably like 6 inches. But he did come with his scythe, which is, you know, standard for this figure. And he also had those awesome black chains where it does show you that one is connected to his neck and actually connects to his wrist as well, to his left arm. But this is somewhere you could tell the differences. Like the boots are painted in silver, in high silver, and McFarlane's are black. So we might repaint those to get them more comic accurate, just for some fun, and then add the chains. But you can really see the difference of this little scale to this big McFarlane scale. And then we do have the Mattel collect-to-build figure, which was awesome because it was way bigger than the DC Direct one. Now originally he did not come with a scythe, and I think people are still even hurt from that. It was a decision made by the company that there was just not enough money in the budget to give him his scythe. Now this was like the second to the last, or the last wave from DC Universe Classics. So they, ended up choosing not to give him his scythe. Now, actually, this scythe that he has is a custom that I did. I actually made it from like a Green Lantern battery from the DC Classics, and then a scythe from Scarecrow from Legends of Batman that I had like extra. So I molded it together, cut it up, put everything, did the custom work, and it actually looks really good. It's even taller than McFarlane's. And even though it's, not your traditional scythe, but it still gives that cool feeling. The handle has the wood grain, just like the McFarlane one has, and also the DC Direct ones have. So all the three scythes are actually pretty cool. It's just that since he didn't come with one, I've seen a lot of people give him the DC Direct one, which is too small for him, or give him the scythe from the Batman, the Death Metal Batman. And I didn't want to do that, so I actually custom made him my own. It's pretty cool. It has its own little grips and its little like point at the bottom to like stick into the ground. And on the front of it, I actually have like a little lantern symbol that's actually painted in a high silver. But it is made from an actual lantern battery, and it was pretty fitting that I actually used a lantern to make it. So these are the comparisons. You have the little DC Direct, the bigger DC Classics, but I had to make him his own scythe. Now we have the McFarlane figure. So they all look pretty cool. Now we can't go away without talking about Black Hand. Now this is actually a human that was kind of heralded by Nekron, and he was like his contact to our reality, because actually he lives like in a subspace of blackness. But this was like his key to getting into our realm, right? And when he died, he actually became the first Black Lantern, and Nekron is actually the leader of the Black Lanterns. So I always thought that was like awesome. So that was one thing that I did like about him, which took me into looking up more figures of him. I think there's a couple of statues or like busts of him. So pretty awesome character from the comics. He is a part of the Total Dark Army. He has like powers of like he throws like black energy. He has the powers to just kill you like on the spot. Necromancy, which is bringing back from the dead. He could vary his size. Like he could actually be, smaller and bigger. And of course he has that black lightning bolt, death energy that he uses. So all in all, pretty cool. Now let's we can't go away without bringing in the McFarlane's Black Lanterns. You have Deathstorm, Black Lantern Superman, and my personal favorite, Black Lantern Batman. So building a pretty cool little army here. Really, really happy to add this guy to my collection. He looks awesome. Now, right now, people are still waiting for orders. I'm not sure how many picked them up from McFarlane like I did, but as soon as you can, get your hands on him. He is a very cool piece of shelf art, and he's gonna go up on my shelves. You guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one. And then a scythe from Batman